In this video, I will give you 8 reasons to buy the Samsung Galaxy A15, but also 4 reasons why you might want to avoid it. This phone was a big surprise when it was released because it's much smaller than its predecessor, the A14, which was very big and bulky. The newer model comes with a lot of benefits, but also downsides. Let's start with the good things. First pro, the good screen. Samsung made a historic upgrade with the launch of the A15 by finally adding a Super AMOLED display to one of their budget phones under $200. The 6.5-inch screen delivers vibrant images, much better color accuracy, and an overall more pleasing viewing experience compared to the old PLS LCD used in previous budget models. The A15 also features a 90Hz refresh rate for smoother motion and finally a much brighter display. It is almost twice as bright as its predecessor with a peak brightness of 800 nits. Thanks to this, you'll have no trouble reading the screen outdoors. The Full HD Plus resolution is also impressive. You get the same number of pixels as the much more expensive Galaxy S25. For most people, this screen is one of the biggest selling points of the A15, but for me at least, there's another feature that is just as important. The second pro, the small size. The A15 is the smallest entry-level phone Samsung has released in the last 4 years. The previous model, the A14, was huge, long and thick. In my opinion, it was so uncomfortable to hold that it felt like gripping a small brick. This drastic size reduction from the A14 to the A15 surprised me. It's a good change because many people, myself included, prefer small phones with a large screen. They offer a great viewing experience and they don't make your pocket way too bulky. Smaller phones are simply more comfortable when it comes to portability, and the A15 is one of the most portable of them all. Just look at it next to the A14 and even compared to the newer, more expensive A25 and A35. The A15 is by far the smallest. I really appreciate this size reduction and hope that Samsung continues to make small entry-level phones like this one. The third pro is of course its small price. The A15 was the best-selling Android phone in 2024. It is said that it sold more than 17 million units in the first half of 2024. One of the main reasons for this is the price. Nowadays, you can get an A15 for under $150. It's one of the most affordable phones. That great screen and pocket-friendly size already provides 2 strong reasons to buy it, and $150 is a fantastic price. But the benefits don't stop there. Moving on to the fourth pro, 25 watts fast charging. A15's battery goes from 0 to 25% in just 15 minutes, and with another 15 minutes, it almost reaches 50%. For a full charge, you'll need to keep it plugged in for about 1 hour and 20 minutes. These are solid results. Even Samsung flagship phones feature 25 watts fast charging. They don't allow higher wattages because lower power charging helps maintain better battery health for longer periods. On top of that, the A15 doesn't consume too much energy. Its 5000 mAh battery offers great stamina, making it one of the best among recently released entry-level phones. The fifth pro, good cameras. The A15 comes with a 50-megapixel main camera, a 5-megapixel ultra-wide, and a 2-megapixel macro camera. On the front, we get a 13-megapixel selfie camera. The main and selfie camera received the biggest upgrades. Compared to its predecessor, I can confidently say that all cameras on this phone are significantly better. I conducted some tests and was impressed with the results. This newer model finally comes with decent cameras that should satisfy most users looking for an entry-level phone. Everything is better on the A15 when you compare it to the A14. Color accuracy, dynamic range, and even ISO performance. If you're on vacation and just want to take quick snaps, the A15 delivers good results for a budget phone. I appreciate that Samsung is finally paying attention to its cheaper devices. Starting with the A15, we can finally say that Samsung budget phones now have decent cameras. As for video, the A15 doesn't record in 4K. If you want 4K, you'll need to go for an A25 or an A35. However, even video quality is noticeably better than on the A14. So overall, I'm quite satisfied with the cameras on this budget phone. Moving on to the 6 Pro, you get up to 4 years of Android updates. Out of the box, it comes secured by Knox and gets the recent Android 14. This phone was released in December 2023, but should receive OS updates until December 2027, which is great. Even 2023 flagship phones get 4 years of updates, and the A15, despite being an entry-level device, gets the same treatment. On top of that, after researching Samsung's website, I found that security maintenance should be assured for 5 years. It's an entry-level phone that is treated like a flagship when it comes to software updates, and that's great. 7 Pro, plenty of storage. Depending on your budget, there are 5 versions of this phone to choose from. It doesn't matter which version you buy. Even if you get the cheapest one, all 5 versions come with at least 128GB of internal storage. Let me show you something. Just the operating system and a few apps already take up roughly 30GB of storage. Still, because the phone comes with such generous memory, no worries, there are 98GB left. On top of that, in the dual SIM tray, you'll find a microSD card slot. That's good news. You can expand the storage by up to 1TB, so you definitely won't have issues with the available space on your phone. The 8 Pro, the 3.5mm headphone port. I wanted to include this because the A15 is probably one of the last smartphones from Samsung to feature a dedicated headphone port. The trend nowadays is to exclude it, as you can see here on these recent Samsung phones. The lack of a 3.5mm headphone port shouldn't cause too many issues though. We can always get Bluetooth headphones, but a lot of people find it more comfortable to have a place where they can plug in headphones directly. The A15 gives you this option, and I appreciate that. These were the good things. Now let's also see the downsides. First con, it lags and stutters. $150 will not give us exceptional performance. The A15 is good but not great. It handles web browsing and social media well, but I wouldn't consider it for long periods of gaming. It tends to heat up a bit, and even when you're not playing games, lags and stutters can appear sometimes. So when it comes to performance, it's good but not great. It's a budget phone. Second con, no stereo speakers. Loud sound should be coming from that small portion above the notch. That's where the second loudspeaker is usually positioned. But on the A15, in this space, they've only put a silent speaker for phone calls. The only loudspeaker is positioned at the bottom, so if you're watching YouTube or listening to music, sound will only come from there. If you want a better sound experience, you'll have to choose a more expensive phone. Third con, the average 5MP ultra-wide angle camera. I know, I said that the cameras on the A15 are good when compared to the A14, but the ultra-wide-angle camera only has a 5MP resolution and a significantly smaller sensor when compared to the main camera. It's good that Samsung included an ultra-wide-angle lens on both the A15 4G and 5G, but it would have been great to have an 8MP ultra-wide camera with a larger sensor. Fourth con, no protection against dust and water. Some websites say that the A15 has an IP54 rating against dust and water splashes, while others say it doesn't. I believe it doesn't have it. If you look at A15 SIM tray and compare it to a smartphone that does have IP54 protection, you'll notice a sealing rubber on the protected phone. The A15 lacks one. This doesn't mean that some dust or a drop of water will damage this phone, but it's definitely recommended to protect it when it's snowing, raining, or when you're washing dishes and the phone is nearby. Since it doesn't have any protection, you should be careful with it. Finally, the fifth con is the biggest one, the fact that the A16 came out. The A16 comes with 6 years of OS updates, not 4, and an IP54 rating against dust and water splashes. However, the A16 doesn't have a headphone port and it's slightly bigger. Aside from these differences, the A15 and A16 are very similar. It's up to you to decide if you want the latest entry-level phone. In conclusion, the A15 is a nice budget phone. I really appreciate its small size, gray screen, and nice cameras. If you want a decent budget phone that is also small, this is it. As I've mentioned, it's the smallest budget phone Samsung has made in the last 4 years. For a better hardware performance, of course, you should look for a device that is more expensive. If you enjoyed this video, press that like button, and if you want to see the review I made about the new Samsung A16, click on the video that you now see on the right side of the screen. See you soon.